brought to you by Soundlibra.com. You can find a direct link to our full library in the description of this audio, or visit us anytime at Soundlibra.com. Welcome to Build Your Morning Stack.
We are so excited to start this journey with you. Just a quick heads up before we get started. While we're discussing wellness and habits, please remember this isn't medical advice, so definitely consult a professional before making major lifestyle changes.
That's a great point, Lisa. Today, we're diving into the very heart of building an unstoppable day, the morning momentum. We'll explore why your day truly begins long before your typical 9 to 5.
That's right, Alex. So many of us feel like we're just reacting to our day, scrambling to keep up. But what if you could design your morning to set you up for success, rather than just survival? This episode is all about understanding that why.
Exactly, Lisa. Think about it. Our mornings are often a blur. We might hit snooze a few times, grab a quick coffee, and then immediately jump into emails or the first task that demands our attention. But this reactive approach rarely leads to focused productivity or a sense of accomplishment. It's like starting a race without a proper warm-up.
And a cold start is never ideal, is it? So, what do we mean by morning momentum? Is it about waking up at an ungodly hour and cramming in as much as possible?
Not necessarily. It's less about the quantity of time and more about the quality and intentionality of how you structure those early hours. Morning momentum is about creating a series of habits that build upon each other, propelling you forward with energy and focus. It's starting your day with purpose.
Purpose. I like that. So, it's not just about having a cup of coffee, right? It's about a deliberate sequence of actions.
Precisely. And the key strategy we'll be using throughout this series is something called habit stacking.
I have, Alex. The idea is to link a new habit you want to build to an existing habit you already do automatically. It's like tying a new shoelace to an old, well-worn one.
That's a fantastic analogy, Lisa. Habit stacking is incredibly powerful precisely because it leverages the built-in momentum of your current routines. Your brain already knows how to do the existing habit, so adding a new one immediately after feels much more achievable. It reduces the mental friction involved in starting something new.
So, instead of trying to find motivation to, say, drink a glass of water first thing, you'd link it to something you already do, like brushing your teeth.
Exactly. So, after you finish brushing your teeth, that's your anchor habit, you immediately drink a full glass of water. Brushing your teeth is the cue. The water drinking is the new behavior. You've stacked them.
And this creates the snowball effect, where one positive action leads to another.
That's the essence of morning momentum. By intentionally designing a sequence of small, achievable habits, you begin your day with a series of small wins. These wins generate positive momentum, making it easier to tackle more challenging tasks and navigate whatever the day throws at you. It's like building a strong foundation before you add the walls and roof to your house.
So, the why is about setting a tone of success and control from the very beginning. It's about moving from a reactive state to a proactive one.
Absolutely. And this proactive approach has a significant impact on our mental state. When you wake up and immediately begin executing a plan, even a simple one, you reinforce a sense of agency. You're not just drifting through your morning, you're actively shaping it. This can reduce feelings of anxiety and overwhelm that often creep in when we feel out of control.
It sounds like getting these early wins can really boost our confidence for the rest of the day.
It absolutely can. And it's not just about feeling good. Science backs this up. When you successfully complete a habit, your brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with reward and motivation. So, each small success in your morning routine literally makes you feel more motivated and more likely to continue that positive behavior. It's a biological reinforcement loop.
A biological reinforcement loop. So, we're literally training our brains to feel good about starting the day productively.
That's a great way to put it, Lisa. And this momentum isn't just about personal productivity. It can also ripple into other areas of your life. When you feel more in control and accomplished in your mornings, you tend to approach work, relationships, and even your leisure time with more patience and effectiveness.
It's like putting on your best shoes before you go for a walk. You feel more prepared and ready to go.
A perfect analogy. And what we'll be exploring in upcoming episodes is how to identify the right habits to stack, how to make them stick, and how to build a truly personalized stack that works for you. We'll be looking at foundational habits like movement and mindfulness.
So, today, we've really laid the groundwork. We've established why a structured morning is so impactful. It's not just about waking up early. It's about building a sequence of intentional actions that create positive momentum, boost our sense of control and confidence, and even tap into our brain's reward system.
Exactly. We've introduced the core concept of habit stacking, linking new habits to existing ones as the engine for building this morning momentum. You start small, you start with what you already do, and you build from there. This intentionality sets the stage for a more focused, productive, and fulfilling day.
And the goal is to move from feeling like you're just surviving your mornings to thriving in them, creating a powerful launching pad for whatever your day holds.
That's the vision. And in our next episode, we're going to take that foundational concept of habit stacking and dive deep into the science behind it. We'll explore how to effectively decode habit stacking, breaking down the psychology and the practical steps to make it work for you.
So, if you're ready to stop just reacting to your day and start designing it, you'll definitely want to join us for that.
Absolutely. For today, remember, your day truly starts before 9 a.m. It starts with intention, and it starts with momentum.
We can't wait to show you how to build it.
Next episode, Decoding Habit Stacking, the science of linking actions. Welcome back. Last time, we explored the power of starting your day before 9 a.m. to build unstoppable momentum. Now, let's tackle habit stacking.
That's right, Alex. In episode 1, we talked about setting the stage for a more productive day, and habit stacking is the key to unlocking that potential. It sounds a little technical, but I'm excited to break down the science behind it with you.
Absolutely, Lisa. So, what exactly is habit stacking? At its core, it's a strategy to create new habits by linking them to existing ones. Think of it like this. You already have a morning routine, right? You probably brush your teeth, make coffee, or get dressed. These are your established habits. Habit stacking is simply the art of attaching a new habit you want to adopt onto an existing one.
So, instead of trying to remember to do something completely new out of the blue, you piggyback it onto something you're already doing automatically. That makes so much sense. It's about leveraging momentum.
Exactly. Researchers have found that our environment and our routines are powerful cues for our behavior. When you perform a habit, your brain is more prepared to perform the next associated habit. Habit stacking essentially creates a chain reaction of desired behaviors. You perform your established habit, and that action becomes the trigger or the cue for your new habit.
So, my existing habit is the signal that tells my brain, okay, time for the next thing. Why is this more effective than just trying to remember to do the new thing, like exercise on its own?
Great question. Trying to build a new habit from scratch often requires a conscious effort to remember and initiate. This relies heavily on willpower, which is a finite resource. We've all experienced days where willpower just isn't strong enough. With habit stacking, you're not relying solely on willpower. You're using a pre-existing, often automatic behavior as the trigger. This dramatically reduces the mental effort required to get started.
Right. If I'm already going to make my coffee, it's much easier to remember to drink a glass of water right after. than it is to just remember to drink water sometime in the morning when I might be busy or distracted.
Precisely. And the beauty of it is that the new habit doesn't have to be huge or complex. Even small habits can be stacked. The goal is consistency and building that neural pathway. The new behavior becomes associated with the old one. Over time, the new habit can even become automatic itself.
Can you give us an example of how this might look in practice, maybe with a morning routine?
Certainly. Let's say one of your existing morning habits is brushing your teeth. You do it every single morning without much thought. Now imagine you want to start a new habit, meditating for 5 minutes. You could stack meditating after you brush your teeth. So the sequence would be brush your teeth, then immediately meditate for 5 minutes.
Okay, so after I've finished brushing my teeth, that act itself becomes the cue to sit down and meditate.
That's the idea. And you can get very specific with the wording to make it even more effective. A common formula for habit stacking is after I current habit, I will new habit. So in that example, it would be after I brush my teeth, I will meditate for 5 minutes.
After I brush my teeth, I will meditate for 5 minutes. I like that it's so clear and actionable. It removes the guesswork.
It does. And you can chain multiple habits together. This is where the stack really comes into play. Let's say you also want to drink a glass of water. You could say, after I drink my coffee, I will drink a glass of water. Or connecting it to our previous example, after I meditate for 5 minutes, I will drink a glass of water.
So, it's not just one new habit, but a whole sequence. If my morning looks like this: wake up, get out of bed, go to the bathroom, brush my teeth. My stack could be: after I brush my teeth, I will do 5 minutes of meditation. After I meditate, I will drink a glass of water. That's really powerful. It means I'm not just adding one new good thing, but potentially several, all linked together.
Exactly. And this is where the concept of anchor habits becomes crucial. An anchor habit is simply an existing habit that is reliable, consistent, and ideally happens at a predictable time, like immediately after waking up or after a meal. These anchor habits are the bedrock of your habit stack because they provide the reliable trigger point.
So, before we can even start stacking, we need to identify what our existing, reliable habits are. It's like finding the sturdy ground before we start building upwards. How do we go about identifying these anchor habits?
The best way is to simply observe your current routine without judgment. For a day or two, just pay attention to what you automatically do. What are the consistent actions you perform every morning? It might be as simple as putting on your slippers, opening your curtains, or putting on the kettle. These are the prime candidates for your anchor habits.
And it's important that these are truly existing habits, not things we wish we did.
Precisely. We're leveraging what's already happening. Are you already making coffee? That's a potential anchor. Do you always go to the bathroom first thing? That's another. These are the reliable starting points.
So, to recap, habit stacking means attaching a new habit you want to form to an existing habit you already do. We use a clear formula. After I current habit, I will new habit. And we identify anchor habits, those reliable, existing actions, to serve as the trigger points for our new behaviors.
You've got it. This is the core mechanism. It's about making the desired behavior convenient and easy to remember by linking it to something that's already part of your day. It's about using the momentum of your current actions to propel you towards your goals. Remember, the goal isn't to completely overhaul your life overnight, but to strategically add small, consistent actions that build over time.
And this is what will ultimately lead to that unstoppable morning momentum we talked about in episode 1. It's a science-backed approach to behavior change.
Indeed. In our next episode, we'll delve deeper into identifying your personal anchor habits. We'll explore practical ways to observe your own routine and pinpoint those perfect starting points for your first habit stacks.
Looking forward to that. So, to recap this episode, habit stacking is about linking new habits to existing ones, using the existing habit as a trigger. The formula is after I current habit, I will new habit, and we identify reliable anchor habits to start our stacks.
Next episode, identifying your anchor habits, the bedrock of your stack. Welcome back. Last time we discussed habit stacking. Now let's identify your anchor habits.
Anchor habits. That sounds really important, Alex. It's like the first domino you need to find, right? Because if you don't have a solid domino to push, the whole chain reaction of habit stacking might not even start.
Exactly, Lisa. Think of anchor habits as the bedrock of your morning stack. They are those consistent, reliable, everyday actions that you already do almost without thinking. They happen at a predictable time each day, and they're highly unlikely to be missed. These are the perfect candidates to attach your new habits to.
So if I always brush my teeth first thing in the morning, that's an anchor habit?
That's a perfect example of a classic anchor habit. Brushing your teeth is something most of us do every single day, usually right after waking up or before leaving the house. It happens at a regular time, and it's incredibly consistent. You could easily stack a new habit onto brushing your teeth. Imagine, for instance, after you finish brushing, you immediately drink a glass of water.
Oh, that makes sense. So the idea is to observe yourself for a day or two and just note down everything you do habitually.
Precisely. It's an exercise in self-observation. You don't need to overthink it initially. Just become aware of your routine. What do you do immediately upon waking? What's the first thing you do when you go into the kitchen? What's the last thing you do before you sit down for breakfast? Keep a mental note or even jot it down.
What if my morning routine is a bit all over the place? Like, some days I jump right into checking emails, other days I scroll social media. That doesn't feel very anchored.
That's a great point, and it touches on a common challenge. For some people, their mornings feel chaotic. But even in what seems like chaos, there are often underlying consistencies. Let's say you always reach for your phone within the first 5 minutes of waking. That act of reaching for your phone, regardless of what you do with it, can be an anchor. You could then decide, okay, after I reach for my phone, I will immediately set a positive intention for the day.
So, it's less about the specific activity and more about the timing and consistency of a trigger action?
You've got it. The trigger is key. An anchor habit is essentially a reliable trigger. We want to find those triggers that are already deeply ingrained in your behavior. Think about things like getting out of bed. That's a pretty solid anchor for most people. Or perhaps making your first cup of coffee or tea. Many of us perform that action automatically each morning.
Right, making coffee is a big one for me. I can't really function until I've had that first cup.
Fantastic. So, making coffee is a strong potential anchor. We can now think about what you could attach to that action. Perhaps before you even take your first sip, you could read one page of a nonfiction book, or perhaps do 5 minutes of stretching. The consistency of the coffee ritual makes it a dependable cue for these new habits.
What about things that aren't necessarily done in the bathroom or kitchen? Like if I always sit down at my desk for a few minutes before I start my actual workday?
That's another excellent example of an anchor habit, especially for those who work from home or have a dedicated workspace. The act of sitting at your desk can be a powerful trigger. You could stack a quick journaling habit there, or maybe a few deep breathing exercises to set a calm tone for your work rather than just diving straight into emails.
Okay, so we're looking for these consistent, daily actions that happen at a predictable time. But if I'm identifying these, how do I make sure I'm choosing a good anchor? What makes one better than another?
That's where the reliability comes in. A truly effective anchor habit is one that you do every single day without fail or with very, very few exceptions. A habit like checking my email might seem consistent, but if your email access is sometimes spotty or if you procrastinate checking it on weekends, it's not as reliable. A more robust anchor would be something more biological or universally ingrained, like waking up, or something routine like brushing your teeth.
So, We want to avoid anchors that are dependent on external factors or personal mood.
Exactly. We want anchors that are as automatic and predictable as possible. Another aspect to consider is the time of the anchor habit. Morning anchor habits are ideal for building a morning stack because they establish the foundation for the rest of your day. If you have a habit that reliably occurs in the morning, that's the one to prioritize for stacking.
What if I struggle to identify any really consistent morning habits? I feel like I'm all over the place.
Don't worry if that's the case. It's a common feeling, but remember our advice about self-observation. Sometimes the anchors are less obvious. Perhaps it's not an action, but a state. For example, if you always feel a specific physical sensation right after waking up, like feeling groggy or thirsty, you can then choose to attach a habit to that sensation.
So, if I feel thirsty right after waking, I can anchor drinking a glass of water to that feeling.
Precisely. You're linking a new, desired behavior to an existing, undeniable sensation or action. The key is to be honest with yourself about what you actually do consistently, not what you think you should do.
This is really helping me see how we can leverage our existing routines.
And that's the beauty of habit stacking. We're not trying to create something out of thin air. We're simply repurposing the momentum of habits you already possess. By identifying your anchor habits, you're essentially finding the strongest points of leverage in your daily routine to build a more intentional and productive morning.
So, to recap for our listeners, anchor habits are those consistent, reliable actions you perform almost automatically each day, typically in the morning. They serve as the dependable trigger for new habits you want to integrate. The best anchors are those that happen at a predictable time and are not easily disrupted by external factors. We need to observe ourselves honestly to find these bedrock actions.
Well said, Lisa. Finding your anchor habits is the crucial next step after understanding habit stacking. It's about identifying those consistent, everyday actions that can serve as the launch pad for your morning momentum. Once you've identified one or two strong anchor habits, you're ready to start attaching new, beneficial behaviors. We absolutely are. And in our next episode, we're going to focus on one of the most immediate and impactful habits you can incorporate into your morning stack: movement. We'll be talking about the movement minute, exploring easy ways to energize your body from the get-go.
Great.
So, if you're ready to start building that solid foundation for your morning, make sure to join us for episode 4, the Movement Minute.
Welcome back to Build Your Morning Stack. Last time, we identified those crucial anchor habits. Today, we're introducing the first key component of your unstoppable start: the movement minute.
Movement Minute. Sounds manageable, Alex. Not a daunting full workout, I hope?
Exactly, Lisa. The movement minute is about incorporating any intentional physical activity, however small, into the very beginning of your day. We're energizing your body and setting a positive physical tone.
Why move first thing? Can I do it later?
You could, but moving early has profound benefits. After hours of stillness, your circulation can be sluggish. Movement gets everything flowing again, gently waking up your engine.
Like preparing a machine for a big job.
Precisely. And it's not just physical. Morning movement boosts mood, reduces stress, and improves cognitive function. It signals to your brain and body to be alert and engaged, releasing those feel-good endorphins.
So, it's a mental and emotional uplift too?
Absolutely. And it's designed to easily stack onto your anchor habit. If getting out of bed is your anchor, your movement minute is the very next step.
What kind of movement are we talking about, Alex? I don't want to feel like I'm failing.
The goal is accessibility. Think simple, effective. Gentle stretching is a great option. Reaching overhead, torso twists, hamstring stretches.
Stretching, I can do that. What else?
Dynamic stretching is also fantastic. Arm circles, leg swings, hip circles. These warm up the body by moving your joints through their range of motion. It's like gently opening all your body's hinges.
So, stretching and dynamic movements. What if someone wants something a little more active but still short?
You could do light cardio, simple jumping jacks, high knees, or marching in place with enthusiasm will elevate your heart rate slightly. It's a gentle nudge, not a full workout.
So, maybe 30 seconds of jumping jacks, then a minute of stretching? Small, manageable chunks.
Exactly. Tailor it to your comfort. Celebration squats are another good one. A few bodyweight squats done with a sense of accomplishment. It's a physical act and a mini victory.
I like that. Celebration squats. How do we stack these onto our anchor habits?
Let's use getting out of bed as our anchor. Once your feet hit the floor, immediately begin your movement minute. For example, 1. Feet hit the floor. 2. 30 seconds of arm circles. 3. 30 seconds of reaching stretches. 4. 30 seconds of marching in place. That's your movement minute stacked right on.
It really is that straightforward. Complete the anchor, then do your short movement routine. Much less overwhelming than a full run.
Precisely. Consistency is the key, not perfection. A minute of movement daily is better than aiming for 30 minutes and only succeeding once a week. This builds momentum and reinforces that you can be active in your mornings.
And if I only have energy for a single deep breath and a gentle stretch on some days, is that okay?
Absolutely. This builds flexibility. The goal is a strong, resilient habit. If you miss a day or do less, just get back on track the next. Don't let a small dip derail progress. The movement minute should energize, not discourage.
To recap, we've introduced the movement minute as the first actionable part of our morning stack, designed to energize the body and mind, improve mood and focus, and it doesn't require much time.
That's right. We've shared simple, accessible ideas like stretching, dynamic movements, and light cardio. The goal is to make it easy to stack onto your anchor habit, creating a seamless transition into your morning. Remember, sustained, simple action is key.
It feels achievable. I'm excited to try this.
Fantastic. Next time, we'll focus on the mental shift, moving from physical energy to mental clarity with our mindfulness moments.
I'm looking forward to that. Next episode, Mindfulness Moments, calming your mind for clarity.
Welcome back. Today, we explore mindfulness, calming your mind for crystal clear clarity.
For anyone new tuning in, our goal is to create a powerful morning routine, a stack of habits that sets us up for success. We've gotten our bodies moving, and now we're focusing on what's going on between our ears.
At its core, mindfulness is about paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It's not about emptying your mind, but rather observing your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations as they come and go.
Observing without judgment. That sounds challenging when our minds are often racing. So, how can a few minutes of this observing make a difference?
When we intentionally practice mindfulness, we train our brains. Think of it like exercising a muscle. This leads to a significant reduction in stress. Instead of getting swept away by stressful thoughts, you learn to notice them, acknowledge them, and let them pass.
So, our minds are less likely to get hijacked by anxiety.
And you mentioned clarity.
How does mindfulness contribute to that?
When our minds are less cluttered, we create space for clearer thinking. Imagine trying to see through a foggy window. Mindfulness helps to clear away that fog. This improved focus allows us to better tackle our work, make more considered decisions, and communicate more effectively.
Okay, I'm starting to see the connection. We've energized our bodies, and now we're clearing our mental space. What are some practical ways to weave this into our routine?
One of the most accessible forms is simple deep breathing. Find a comfortable position and just focus on your breath. Notice the sensation of air entering and leaving your lungs. When your mind wanders, gently guide your attention back to your breath.
Just focusing on the breath. That sounds manageable. What else?
Another excellent technique is a brief body scan. This involves bringing awareness to different parts of your body, from your toes to the top of your head. Notice any sensations, warmth, coolness, tension. The goal is simply to observe.
A body scan, so it's about feeling into your physical presence right now. That sounds like a great way to connect with ourselves.
Absolutely. And building on the movement from our last episode, you can even integrate mindfulness with mindful walking. Pay attention to the sensations of your feet hitting the ground, the rhythm of your steps.
So, we're not just walking, we're mindfully walking. That adds another layer to a simple activity, especially for those who find sitting still challenging.
Precisely. We can also use guided meditations. There are countless apps and online resources offering short, guided mindfulness sessions. These can be incredibly helpful when you're starting out.
It's like having a friendly guide leading you on this inner journey. And you've mentioned just a few minutes. How short are we talking?
Even 2 to 5 minutes of deep breathing or a short body scan can make a difference. The goal is consistency, not perfection. It's far better to do 2 minutes every day than 20 minutes once a week.
Consistency over intensity. That's a great reminder for habit building in general. So, if we're incorporating this into our morning stack, where does it fit, especially after the movement minute?
You have options. Some people prefer it immediately after waking up. Others find it beneficial after their movement minute. The idea is to create a natural flow. Perhaps after your energizing movements, you find a quiet spot to sit and cultivate that inner calm.
So, we've moved our bodies, and now we're anchoring ourselves with mindful presence. What are some common hurdles people face?
The biggest hurdle is often the mind wandering. People think they're bad at mindfulness because their minds won't stop thinking. But that's precisely what mindfulness teaches us to work with. Every time you notice your mind has wandered and you gently bring it back, that's a success. Another hurdle can be impatience, wanting to feel calm immediately. Remember, it's a practice, and the benefits unfold over time.
I think many people will find reassurance in knowing that mind wandering is not a failure. It's part of the process. It sounds like the key is gentle persistence.
Exactly. So, to recap, mindfulness is about present moment awareness without judgment. It reduces stress, enhances clarity, and can be practiced through deep breathing, body scans, or mindful movement.
It's about creating a calm, clear inner space to complement the energized physical space we built in the last episode. It's about noticing your breath, noticing your body, and gently guiding your attention. This is crucial for setting a positive tone for the entire day.
We've built the foundation of our morning stack with energy and inner peace. Next time, we're going to explore how to fuel your brain with learning and unlock even greater potential.
Next episode, the learning link, fueling your brain, unlocking potential.
Welcome back. Last time, we explored how to integrate mindfulness moments into your mornings for enhanced clarity and calm. Now, let's tackle the third crucial pillar of an unstoppable start, the learning link.
The learning link. That sounds fascinating, Alex. We've built the foundation with early momentum, stacked our habits, energized our bodies with movement, and calmed our minds with mindfulness. So, how does learning fit into this picture?
It's all about fueling your brain and unlocking your potential. Lisa, think of your morning stack as a complete system. Movement gets your blood flowing, mindfulness clears mental clutter, and learning actively sharpens your mind. It's about investing in your most valuable asset, your intellect.
So, it's not just about learning for work or school, is it? It's broader than that.
Absolutely. The beauty of focusing on learning in your morning stack is that it's incredibly versatile. You can learn anything that sparks your curiosity and contributes to your personal or professional growth. This could be anything from reading a few pages of nonfiction book, listening to an educational podcast, reviewing a new skill you're practicing, or even delving into a topic that simply fascinates you.
I like that. It doesn't have to feel like a chore, like homework.
Exactly. The goal is to make learning feel like a reward, not a penance. When you dedicate your first waking hours, a time when your mind is often freshest and less distracted, to absorbing new information, you're setting a positive, growth-oriented tone for the entire day. Imagine starting your day with a new insight or a deeper understanding of a subject. Doesn't that feel empowering?
It really does. It's like giving yourself a mental upgrade right at the beginning of the day. What are some of the key benefits of making learning such a core part of our morning routine?
There's so many. Firstly, increased knowledge and skill acquisition, of course. But beyond that, regular learning keeps your brain agile and adaptable. Think of it like exercising a muscle. The more you use your brain for learning, the stronger and more efficient it becomes. This can improve your problem-solving abilities, boost creativity, and even enhance your memory retention.
So, it's not just about accumulating facts, but about building a more capable brain overall.
Precisely. Another significant benefit is enhanced focus and concentration. When you're actively engaged in learning something new, you're training your brain to pay attention. This improved focus can then ripple outwards, benefiting all other areas of your life and work. Furthermore, learning can be a powerful stress reducer. When you're engrossed in a stimulating topic, it can provide a welcome distraction from everyday worries.
That's a great point. It's a form of active engagement that pulls you away from rumination. So, how do we practically weave this learning link into our morning stack, especially when we're still getting the hang of movement and mindfulness?
The principles are similar. We start small and build gradually. Remember our discussions about identifying anchor habits? You want to find an anchor habit for your learning. This could be as simple as picking up a book as soon as you finish your morning glass of water, or putting on a podcast as you put on your walking shoes for your movement minute.
Okay, so if my anchor habit is finishing my mindful breathing, my learning habit could be opening my e-reader right after.
Perfect. And what would you read? Is there a particular book or topic that interests you? This is where you personalize it. Don't feel pressure to read dense academic texts if that's not your inclination. It could be a novel that expands your vocabulary and empathy, a biography that offers lessons from another's life, a practical guide related to a hobby, or even an article about current event from a reputable source.
What if I don't have a specific book in mind, or I'm not sure what I want to learn?
That's where our strategies from previous episodes come in handy. You could have a curated list of articles or podcast episodes ready to go. Or perhaps you set a goal at the beginning of the week, say, to learn one new thing about astronomy, and you dedicate your learning time to that. It's about creating intention.
And consistency, I presume? It's like anything else in the stack. Doing it regularly is key.
Absolutely. We're aiming for progress, not perfection. Even 10 to 15 minutes of focused learning each morning can yield significant results over time. Think about it. That's over an hour of dedicated learning per week and nearly 50 hours a year. That's enough time to make real progress in mastering a new skill or gaining a deep understanding of a complex subject.
Wow, when you put it like that, it really adds up. It's about making that time for intentional growth. And for those who might feel overwhelmed by the idea of learning, what about just listening?
Excellent question. Listening is a fantastic way to incorporate learning. Podcasts are a goldmine for this. There are podcasts on virtually every topic imaginable, from history and science to business and personal development. You can listen while you're preparing breakfast, during your commute, or even during a relaxed part of your movement routine. The key is active listening. Try to absorb the information, perhaps jotting down a key takeaway later.
So, even passive listening can be actively beneficial if you approach it with the right mindset. How does this learning pillar connect with the movement and mindfulness we've already discussed?
That's the synergy of the stack. Remember, we talked about the benefits of movement for cognitive function? That primes your brain for learning. And we discussed how mindfulness reduces mental noise. That creates the quiet, focused space needed for effective absorption of new information. So, your movement minute gets your brain ready, and your mindfulness moments prepare your mind to receive and process what you're learning. They work in concert.
It's like each element amplifies the others. So, the ideal learning link would be something that you're genuinely interested in, and then you dedicate a specific, consistent amount of time to it.
That's a perfect encapsulation, Lisa. And remember, this isn't about cramming for an exam. It's about fostering a lifelong love of learning and personal development. It's about enriching your life, expanding your horizons, and continuously becoming a more capable version of yourself. What are you looking forward to learning about in your morning stack?
I've been meaning to get better at understanding photography. So, I think I'll start with a photography podcast during my breakfast preparation.
That's a fantastic choice. And by consistently engaging with that podcast, you'll be building that learning muscle, improving your cognitive skills, and setting yourself up for a day of insightful growth. So, to recap, the learning link is about intentionally dedicating time, even just a small amount, to acquiring new knowledge or skills. It complements movement by preparing your brain and mindfulness by creating focus, and the long-term benefits include enhanced cognitive function, improved problem solving, and a more adaptable, agile mind.
It's all about fueling that incredible engine we have in our heads.
Exactly. By making learning a consistent part of your morning stack, you're not just starting your day, you're actively building a better you day by day. Next episode, Progressive Expansion, where we'll explore how to strategically grow your morning stack. Welcome back to Build Your Morning Stack. Last time, we explored the learning link, focusing on how to incorporate activities that fuel your brain and unlock your potential. Today, we're entering a new phase, progressive expansion. We'll talk about how to strategically grow your morning stack without feeling overwhelmed.
That's such a crucial step, Alex. It's exciting to build a solid foundation with movement, mindfulness, and learning, but what happens when you want to add more? Burnout is a real risk if you try to do too much too soon. So, how do we expand our stacks intelligently?
Exactly, Lisa. The key word here is progressively. Think of your morning stack like building with Legos. You start with a few sturdy base pieces, and then you add more, one by one, ensuring each new piece is well placed and secure before adding the next. Trying to build a skyscraper all at once will lead to a messy pile.
I love that analogy. So, instead of thinking I need to add 5 new habits tomorrow, it's more like I'm going to add one small new habit this week and see how it feels.
Precisely. We've already established the power of habit stacking. Remember how we talked about linking a new habit to an existing, established one? That principle is still our best friend here. When you're ready to expand, you don't just tack on a new habit randomly. You find a logical place for it within your existing routine.
So, for instance, if I have my morning movement habit and I want to add a 5 minute journaling session, I'd attach that journaling after my movement.
That's a perfect example. You've already built the momentum with movement. You're awake. You're energized. The transition to a slightly more introspective activity like journaling becomes much smoother. You're leveraging the energy and established success of your existing habits. We call this leveraging your anchor habits. And this is where that concept really shines during expansion.
That makes so much sense. It's about creating a natural flow rather than jarring changes. What are some signs that tell us we're ready to add something new?
Great question. The biggest sign is consistency with your current stack. If your existing habits, let's say movement, mindfulness, and learning, feel automatic, like you don't even have to think about them anymore, that's your cue. You've integrated them so well that they're no longer a burden. They become part of your morning rhythm.
And that feeling of ease is important, isn't it? Not dreading your morning routine.
Absolutely. If you're consistently feeling good about your current stack, if it's adding value to your day without causing stress, then you're in a strong position to experiment with adding one more thing. When you do add it, start small. If you want to add reading, don't commit to reading for an hour. Start with 5 or 10 minutes.
And then, just like before, you let that new habit solidify before considering adding another, right? You're building layers, but slowly and deliberately.
Exactly. The danger of progressive expansion is thinking progressively means rapidly. True progression is about sustainable growth. Imagine you're adding new rooms to a house. You wouldn't try to build all the new rooms at once, would you? You'd build one, ensure it's structurally sound, and then move on to the next. It's the same with our habits.
What if the new habit doesn't fit immediately? What if it feels a bit awkward, or I miss a day?
That's not a reason to abandon ship. That's just data. If a new habit feels awkward, it might mean you haven't quite found the right anchor habit for it, or the time slot isn't quite right, or maybe the habit itself needs a slight tweak. Remember the movement minute and how we started very simply? We didn't aim for a full workout on day one. We started with just 1 minute. For a new habit, consider a mini habit version.
A mini habit, like just doing the very first, smallest possible action related to the habit?
Yes, if your goal is to learn a new language and you want to add that to your stack, your mini habit might be just opening the language app for 30 seconds or looking up one new word. The idea is to make it so easy that you can't say no. That removes friction and builds the consistency needed to eventually expand.
So, it's about finding that smallest possible victory, that almost effortless first step, to make the new habit stick. And then, naturally, as you keep doing that small step, it grows.
Precisely. And as you successfully integrate these new, small habits, you'll begin to notice the cumulative effect. Your morning routine becomes richer, more comprehensive, and more aligned with your overall goals. It's empowering. You're not just ticking boxes. You're actively crafting a more fulfilling start to your day.
It's about celebrating those small wins, too, isn't it? When we successfully add a new habit, or even just a single day of consistently doing it, that's something to acknowledge.
Absolutely. Acknowledging and celebrating your progress, however small, is crucial for maintaining momentum. It reinforces the positive behavior and makes you more likely to continue. Think about it. If you successfully added that journaling habit after your movement and it felt good, pat yourself on the back. That encouragement fuels your next step.
So, to recap for our listeners, progressive expansion means adding new habits to your morning stack strategically and incrementally. We leverage our established habits or anchor habits to link new actions, starting with small, manageable mini habit versions. We look for consistency and ease in our current stack as a sign we're ready, and we celebrate every small win to keep the momentum going.
You nailed it, Lisa. It's a marathon, not a sprint. By expanding your stack progressively, you ensure that what you build is sustainable and truly beneficial, rather than an overwhelming burden. This careful growth allows your morning routine to evolve with you and become an even more powerful engine for your day. And remember, the goal is not to have the longest, most complicated morning routine, but the one that best serves you.
That's a fantastic point to end on. It's about personal architecture.
Indeed. Next episode, we'll dive into the inevitable bumps in the road, overcoming obstacles. Thanks for listening. Welcome back. back to Build Your Morning Stack. Last time, we explored progressive expansion, learning how to strategically grow your habit stack. Now, we're tackling a crucial topic, overcoming obstacles. Because life happens, and sometimes, our carefully crafted morning stacks crumble.
Oh, definitely. I think everyone who's ever tried to build a new habit, let alone a whole stack, has experienced that moment when things just don't go according to plan. You intend to start your day with gratitude, then a quick email check, followed by a workout, but suddenly you're hitting snooze for the third time or rushing out the door. It can be so discouraging.
Exactly. And that discouragement is a major obstacle in itself. The key is not to expect perfection, but to build resilience. Think of your morning stack not as a rigid schedule, but as a supportive framework. When something throws it off, the goal isn't to give up, but to get back on track as quickly and smoothly as possible.
So, it's less about never faltering and more about having a plan for when you do falter. What are some of the most common obstacles that people face, Alex?
A big one is simply lack of motivation. You wake up, and the idea of doing that 30-minute workout just feels overwhelming. Another is external disruptions, an unexpected early meeting, a sick child, or even just a really bad night's sleep. And then there's the all or nothing mentality. Someone misses one habit, like their morning meditation, and they think, well, the whole morning is ruined, and they abandon the rest.
That all or nothing thinking is so destructive. It's like dropping a single coin and deciding your whole wallet is now worthless. How do we combat that?
The first step is awareness, just like we discussed with identifying your anchor habits. Recognize that dips in motivation or disruptions are normal. Don't beat yourself up about it. Instead, reframe it. A missed habit isn't a failure. It's an opportunity to practice getting back on track.
So, if I miss my meditation, instead of throwing the whole morning out, what's a practical first step I could take?
Bring out your anchor habit. Remember those bedrock habits? The ones that are non-negotiable and easy to start? For many, that might be simply drinking a glass of water or opening the curtains. If your meditation is skipped, can you still do your glass of water? Or perhaps your quick mindfulness exercise, even if it's just for 30 seconds?
Ah, right.
Our anchor habits are our safety net. They remind us of the underlying purpose of the stack and provide an easy win even when the rest of the structure feels wobbly. So, even if the full stack is disrupted, re-engaging with an anchor habit can help rebuild momentum.
Precisely. Another strategy is to have a minimum viable stack for low energy days. These are the absolute essential habits you want to accomplish, even if you're not feeling great. Maybe it's just drinking water and brushing your teeth. Knowing you can still achieve your bare minimum can prevent you from abandoning the entire process.
That's brilliant. Having that scaled down version makes it less daunting. It's like knowing you can still accomplish something rather than feeling like you've failed at everything. So, we've talked about motivation dips and external disruptions. What about that feeling of plain old overwhelm?
For overwhelm, it's about simplifying and returning to the basics. Sometimes we try to do too much too soon. If your stack feels too burdensome, it's okay to temporarily simplify it. Go back to a smaller, more manageable version. Revisit the why behind your habits. Connecting with the deep-seated reasons for wanting these habits can reignite your drive.
That makes sense. When things get tough, we instinctively want to retreat to what's familiar and manageable. So, returning to a simpler stack is like finding solid ground when the terrain gets rough. Alex, how do we deal with specific habits that are consistently falling by the wayside? Not just occasional misses, but one that just seems impossible to stick with.
That's a great question. If a specific habit is consistently problematic, it might not be the right habit for you. Or perhaps the way you're trying to implement it isn't working. Could the habit be too demanding? Does it require too much willpower or time on certain days?
So, we might need to adjust the habit itself. Maybe instead of a 30-minute workout, it's a 10-minute walk.
Exactly. Or maybe the timing is off. Perhaps doing that habit right after waking up is a struggle, but doing it after your first cup of coffee is more feasible. This is where flexibility comes in. We're not robots following a rigid program. We're humans building healthy routines. It's about finding what works for your life, not adhering to an imaginary ideal.
And if a habit is truly not working, even after adjustments, it's okay to let it go and replace it with something else. It's a process of continuous refinement.
Absolutely. And sometimes the obstacle isn't the habit itself, but the cues that trigger it. Are there distractions in your environment? For instance, if your plan is to read for 15 minutes, but your phone is right there, constantly buzzing or catching your eye, that's a significant obstacle. Eliminating or minimizing those distracting cues can make a huge difference.
So, proactively managing our environment can prevent some of these disruptions before they even happen, creating a conducive space for our habits.
Precisely. Think about it like this. When you're trying to eat healthier, if your pantry is stocked with junk food, it's going to be a constant battle. But if your pantry is filled with healthy options, making the healthy choice becomes much easier. The same applies to your morning stack environment.
This is also helpful. So, to recap, when our morning stacks crumble, the key is to avoid the all or nothing trap. We should acknowledge the disruption, lean on our anchor habits for a quick win, have a minimum viable stack for tough days, and be willing to simplify or adjust individual habits or their implementation. And managing our environment proactively is crucial to prevent distractions.
That's a fantastic summary, Lisa. The ultimate goal is to build a stack that is robust and adaptable. Life will inevitably throw curveballs, but with the right strategies, you can learn to navigate them, get back on track, and continue building your unstoppable morning momentum. Remember, every day is a new opportunity to practice and refine.
It really is. And knowing that setbacks are part of the process makes it much less daunting. Thank you, Alex. This has been incredibly insightful.
You're welcome. And next time, we're going to talk about taking your morning stack on the road with our episode on travel hacks. Welcome back to Build Your Morning Stack. Today, we're tackling a topic that can feel like the ultimate stack breaker for many: travel.
Oh, travel. It's exciting, but you're right, Alex. It can really disrupt your best habits. Sleeping in a new bed, different schedule, no access to your usual gym or kitchen, it's a recipe for waking up feeling off balance.
Exactly. But the good news is, it doesn't have to be that way. Today, we're focusing on the travel hack, taking your morning stack on the road and keeping that unstoppable start, no matter your destination. We'll be looking at how to identify portable anchor habits and create mini stacks that work even when you're miles from home.
So, for listeners who might be heading out of town soon, or even just anticipating a trip, what's the first principle to keep in mind when your stack goes mobile?
The key is flexibility and foresight. Instead of seeing travel as a complete abandonment of your stack, think of it as an adaptation. We need to identify the core elements of your morning routine that are truly portable and essential to your well-being. Remember our discussions about anchor habits in episode 3? Those are going to be your lifesavers.
Right? Anchor habits are those foundational actions that, once done, make it easier to do the next thing. They're the bedrock. So, for travel, we should focus on picking the most robust, most easily replicable anchor habits from our existing stacks.
Precisely. Think about what truly sets your day off right, even in a limited environment. For some, it might be a few minutes of mindful breathing or a quick gratitude practice. For others, it could be drinking a glass of water first thing or a short stretching routine. These are things you can do in almost any hotel room, on a train, or even in a relative's house without special equipment or a large space.
That makes sense. It's about stripping it back to the absolute essentials. So, instead of trying to replicate your entire 45-minute workout and two-page journaling session, you focus on those one or two core activities. But what if even those feel impossible? Like when you're on a red-eye flight and land at 5 a.m. totally jet-lagged.
That's where the idea of a mini stack comes in, and also where we draw on our techniques from episode 8 about overcoming obstacles. When your regular stack is genuinely impossible, create a simplified, short-term version. This mini stack might just be one or two very small, very achievable actions. For instance, if your anchor is drinking water, your travel mini stack might be simply drinking that glass of water within 10 minutes of waking up in your hotel room. The goal here is consistency of action, not necessarily the exact replication of your usual routine.
So, it's like a good enough approach for travel days? It's not about perfection, it's about maintaining some positive momentum. This is so relatable. I've definitely felt guilty when I've missed my usual habits while traveling.
And that guilt is counterproductive. The point of your morning stack is to serve you, not to be a rigid set of rules that cause stress when you deviate. For travel, identify those portable anchors and then build a super simple mini stack around them. Perhaps it's drink a glass of water, then do 5 deep breaths. That's it. It takes maybe 2 minutes.
And by doing those two things, you've already started your day with intention, right? You've signaled to yourself that it's important to take care of yourself, even on the road. This connects back to the idea of progressive expansion from episode 7. We're not expanding here, but we are maintaining the core principle of building positive habits.
Exactly. And you can even prepare for this before you leave. Pack a reusable water bottle, download meditation app, or pack a small journal and pen. These are tools that help facilitate your portable habits. Think about the environment you'll be in. If you're staying in a hotel, what can you do in a small room? If you're going to be in a car for a long time, what can you do before you get in the car or immediately after you arrive?
And Alex, what about physical activities? Many people use exercise as a key part of their morning stack. How do you adapt that when you don't have access to your gym?
The movement minute. This is a prime candidate for modification. Your movement minute doesn't have to be an hour at the gym. It can be a brisk walk around the hotel block, some stretching in your room, or even using bodyweight exercises. Many hotel gyms are quite basic, but you can often get a good workout with just dumbbells or even just your own body. If there's no gym, a quick search for hotel room workout can yield fantastic results. The key is to move your body in a way that energizes you, even if it's different from your usual routine.
So, preparation is also about looking ahead. If you know you'll be in a hotel, check if it has a gym, or research local parks or walking routes. It's about making it as easy as possible to engage in those portable habits.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to adjust your expectations. If you normally do a high-intensity interval training session, that might not be feasible every day on vacation. But a 15-minute yoga flow or a brisk walk will still provide significant benefits and help maintain that sense of continuity. We're seeking to maintain the spirit of our stack, not to perfectly replicate its form.
And this ties back to remembering why we started building a morning stack in the first place, doesn't it? It's about feeling good, being productive, and having clarity. Travel can actually be a great opportunity to remind ourselves of those core motivations when our usual context is removed.
That's a beautiful way to put it, Lisa. Travel can be a powerful reset. By focusing on your portable anchor habits and creating simple mini stacks, you can actually enhance your travel experience. You'll arrive feeling more grounded, less stressed, and ready to enjoy your destination, rather than feeling like you've fallen off track.
So, to recap for our listeners, when traveling, don't let your morning stack become a source of stress. First, identify your most portable anchor habits. These are the actions that are easy to do anywhere. Second, create a super simple mini stack of just one or two of these habits for days when your usual routine is impossible. And third, prepare by packing smart and researching your destination to make movement and mindfulness accessible.
Exactly. Think of it as a flexible, adaptable stack. It's still your stack, just tailored for when you're on the go. It's about maintaining that unstoppable start, even when your environment changes.
That's incredible advice, Alex. It really demystifies taking your habits with you. I can already feel less travel anxiety just thinking about it.
Fantastic. And that brings us to the end of episode 9. We'll be exploring how to keep your morning momentum going strong when the weekend arrives. Next episode, Weekend Wonders, recharging and realigning your stack. Welcome back. Last time, we explored how to keep your morning stack on track even when you're traveling. Now, let's embrace the unique opportunities of the weekend.
Weekends. For many, they're a chance to relax, catch up on sleep, or dive into personal projects. But they can also be a slippery slope where our carefully built morning stacks start to unravel.
Exactly. The key is to realize that your weekend morning stack doesn't have to be identical to your weekday one. It's about adapting, not abandoning. Think of it as a strategic shift, not a complete breakdown.
So, we're not saying you have to wake up at 5 a.m. on a Saturday to write a novel. That sounds exhausting.
Definitely not. The core principle is alignment. What do you want your weekend to feel like? Is it about deep rest, creative bursts, connecting with loved ones, or exploring new hobbies? Your morning stack should support those intentions.
That makes sense. My weekday mornings are all about getting ready for work, focused, efficient. My weekends are usually about slowing down. So, my stack should reflect that slowness and intention.
Precisely. So, let's break down how we can adjust. First, consider your sleep. If you've been burning the candle at both ends during the week, a weekend might be your chance to genuinely catch up on rest.
Yes. The temptation to sleep until noon. While tempting, I found that sleeping too late can actually make me feel groggier and disrupt my entire day. It's like my body gets confused.
That's a common experience. The goal isn't to eliminate sleep, but to extend it mindfully. If you want to sleep in, aim for an extra hour or two, not an extra 5. This still allows for a gentler wake up and doesn't totally throw off your body's natural rhythm.
Mindful sleep-ins. I like that. So, instead of a jarring alarm at 6 a.m., maybe I let myself wake up naturally around 7:30 or 8, but still within a reasonable range of my weekday wake-up time.
Exactly. And this gentler wake up can then lead into a modified version of your stack. Remember how we talked about linking actions together? We can still connect steps, but the nature of those steps might change.
Okay, so what if my movement minute on a weekday is a quick burst of jumping jacks, but on the weekend, I want something more leisurely?
Perfect example. Your movement could shift from intense exercise to a long, unhurried walk in nature, a gentle yoga session, or even some stretching while enjoying your morning coffee. The intention is still to move your body, but the form is relaxed and enjoyable,
And mindfulness moments. That might not be 10 minutes of silent meditation if I have family around.
right? It could be a shared moment of gratitude with your partner, a few minutes of simply observing the birds outside, or listening to calming music with your eyes closed. It's about being present and calm, whatever that looks like for your weekend.
So it's about flexibility and adapting the intensity or form of the habit rather than cutting it out entirely. We're keeping the spirit of the habit alive.
You've got it. And remember that learning link habit? Weekends can be fantastic for deeper dives into subjects you love, but don't have time for during the week.
Oh, that's a great point. I sometimes feel guilty about spending hours reading or learning on a weekend because I feel like I should be doing chores or social things. But if it's aligned with a personal goal, it's valuable time.
Absolutely. So, your learning habit might be reading a chapter of a book you're passionate about, watching an educational documentary, or working on a personal creative project. It's about fueling your mind in a way that brings you joy and fulfillment, not obligation.
This is really helpful. It feels less like another rigid to-do list and more like a guide for intentionally shaping my weekend mornings to support my overall well-being and goals.
And that's the ultimate goal. We've talked about progressively expanding your stack. Weekends can be where you experiment with longer versions of your habits or introduce new, self-directed learning or creative pursuits that you might want to eventually integrate into your weekday stack if they prove beneficial.
So, it's like a personal lab, the weekend morning.
Exactly. A place for gentle experimentation and deep refreshment. However, we also need to acknowledge that sometimes things do go off track. Maybe you oversleep significantly, or a spontaneous outing disrupts your usual flow.
This is where that idea of overcoming obstacles comes back in, right? It's not about perfection.
Precisely. If you miss a planned weekend morning habit, don't let it derail your entire day or week. Acknowledge it, perhaps reflect briefly on why it happened, and then simply return to your next planned element or resume your intended intention for the day.
So, if I planned a morning walk but ended up sleeping in, I don't just abandon my mindfulness moment or learning link. I pick back up with those.
You do. Or you acknowledge that perhaps the sleep in was your morning intention for that moment, and you simply move forward. The power is in that conscious choice and the ability to reset without judgment.
It's about being kind to ourselves, especially when we have more unstructured time.
Indeed. Now, let's recap how to make your weekend mornings wonderful. First, align your stack with your weekend intentions, whether that's rest, rejuvenation, or personal pursuits. Second, adapt your habits. Adjust the form or intensity to suit a more relaxed pace, but keep the core purpose. Think mindful sleep-ins, leisurely movement, and flexible mindfulness. Third, leverage weekends for deeper dives into learning or creative projects that align with your passions. Finally, remember the principles of overcoming obstacles. Be flexible, forgive yourself for missed habits, and simply get back on track without judgment.
So, it's about being intentional with our downtime, just as we are with our busy weekdays, but with a focus on recharging and enjoying life.
That's the essence of it. Your weekend mornings are a powerful opportunity to set a tone of rest and fulfillment, ensuring you start your week feeling refreshed and aligned. Next episode, personalizing your architecture, finding your perfect fit. Welcome back to Build Your Morning Stack. This is episode 11, and we're diving deep into making your morning routine truly your own.
That's right, Alex. We've spent a lot of time building the foundation, talking about habit stacking, anchor habits, and even incorporating movement, mindfulness, and learning. But the beauty of this whole process is that it's not a rigid template. It's about creating an architecture that fits you.
Exactly. And that's what today's all about, personalization. We're not going to give you another set of rules. Instead, we're going to empower you to become the architect of your own morning. Think of it like building a house. You might start with a standard blueprint, but you'll add your own touches, your favorite colors, the furniture that makes you feel at home. Your morning stack is no different.
So, Alex, how do we even begin to personalize this? It feels like we've covered so much, and it can be overwhelming trying to figure out what specifically works for us.
Great question, Lisa. The first step is self-awareness. We need to understand our own energy levels, our individual preferences, and our unique goals. Let's revisit some of the core components we've discussed and think about how you can tailor them. Remember episode 4, where we talked about the movement minute.
Ah, yes.
That was all about getting our bodies moving to energize us. We discussed things like a quick stretch, a few jumping jacks, or even a brisk walk.
Precisely. Now, for some, maybe jumping jacks are too jarring first thing. Perhaps they prefer a gentle yoga flow or a short, mindful walk around their neighborhood. Some of you might have more time and can dedicate 20 minutes to a full workout, while others might only have 5. The key is to find a form of movement that feels good to your body and fits your schedule. It's not about doing the right exercise, but about doing an exercise that gets you moving and feeling more alive.
So it's about listening to our bodies. If a high-intensity burst feels like a battle, maybe a more gentle approach is the right anchor for our movement.
Absolutely. And this principle applies to all the components. Let's think about episode 5, mindfulness moments. We talked about deep breathing, meditation, and gratitude. What if traditional meditation feels difficult or unappealing to you?
That's something many people struggle with, Alex. Sitting still and clearing your mind can feel like an impossible task.
Indeed. But mindfulness isn't just about silent meditation. It could be actively listening to a calming piece of music, spending a few moments observing nature outside your window, or even mindfully savoring your first cup of coffee or tea. It's about bringing your attention to the present moment with intention. For some, that might mean a guided meditation app. For others, it might be journaling about what they're grateful for. The goal is to create a pause, a space for calm before the day's demands begin.
That's a really helpful way to reframe it. So, it's about finding a practice that helps us anchor ourselves in the present, whatever that looks like for us.
Exactly. And then we have episode 6, the learning link. We want to feed our minds, but what kind of learning resonates with you? Is it reading a chapter from a nonfiction book, listening to an educational podcast, like this one, or perhaps learning a new language for just 10 minutes?
I think this is where experimentation comes in. Some people might love diving into science articles, while others might prefer to learn a new skill in art or music. The key is that it's something you enjoy learning. If it feels like a chore, it's less likely to stick.
Precisely. And remember episode 7, when we talked about progressive expansion. This is where personalization really shines. You might start with a very simple stack, maybe just 1 or 2 habits. Your movement might be 5 minutes of stretching, your mindfulness might be 3 deep breaths, and your learning might be reading one headline from an article. As you feel more comfortable and see the benefits, you can gradually add more.
So, instead of thinking you need to do 20 minutes of yoga, 5 minutes of meditation, and 20 pages of reading right away, you can start with a single minute of each, or even less, and build from there.
That's the power of progressive expansion. You're not trying to overhaul your entire life overnight. You're making small, manageable additions that feel achievable. And here's a crucial point. Your needs change. What works for you today might not work for you in 6 months. That's perfectly okay. Your morning stack should be adaptable.
It's dynamic, not static. So, if I'm going through a particularly stressful period, I might lean more into mindfulness, perhaps even making my movement shorter and more restorative. Or, if I have a big project at work, I might dedicate a bit more time to learning related to that.
You've got it, Lisa. Think about your energy levels too. Some people are naturally morning people, buzzing with energy at 6 a.m. Others might need a bit more time to warm up. If you're not a morning person, forcing yourself to do intense activity at 5 a.m. might be counterproductive. Maybe your stack begins later, or perhaps it starts with something very gentle and nurturing to ease you into the day.
That's reassuring, Alex. I think sometimes people feel like they have to jump out of bed and conquer the world immediately, and if they can't, they feel like failures.
And that's the opposite of what we want to achieve. The goal of your morning stack is to create a sense of agency, control, and positive momentum. It's about starting your day intentionally in a way that sets you up for success. So, how do you experiment with this personalization? I suggest making small adjustments and observing the results. Swap out one activity for another for a week. See how you feel. Does it energize you more? Does it feel more enjoyable? Does it help you achieve your goals?
And don't be afraid to ditch something if it's not working. It doesn't mean you failed. It means you learned something about what doesn't work for you.
Exactly. It's all part of the discovery process. Think of it as your personal laboratory. You're testing hypotheses about what makes you feel your best. Your stack might include elements that are different from your best friends or your colleagues, and that's brilliant. It means you found what truly supports your unique rhythm.
So, to recap for our listeners, personalization is key. Understand your own energy levels and preferences. Tailor the core components, movement, mindfulness, and learning, to what feels good and is achievable for you. Don't be afraid to experiment. Make small adjustments and adapt your stack as your needs change. Your morning stack is your personal tool for building a strong, intentional start to your day.
That's the perfect way to put it, Lisa. This is your architecture, your design. Build it to suit you. And that brings us to the end of episode 11. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to Build Your Morning Stack. We've reached our final episode, episode 12, where we're going to talk about becoming truly unstoppable by sustaining your morning momentum for life.
And Alex, this feels like the perfect culmination. We've gone from understanding the very first moments of the day all the way to crafting personalized systems and overcoming hurdles. It's about taking all those building blocks and making sure they stand strong, not just for a week or a month, but forever.
Exactly, Lisa. So, for the past 11 episodes, we've explored the power of habit stacking, identified those crucial anchor habits, incorporated movement, mindfulness, and learning, and even discussed how to adapt your stack for travel and weekends. We've talked about when things go wrong and how to get back on track. It's been a deep dive into creating a morning routine that propels you forward.
And as we wrap up the series, the big question is, how do we ensure this momentum doesn't fade? How do we make our morning stacks a truly sustainable part of our lives, rather than just a temporary fix?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The key to sustainability lies in a few core principles. First, and this is so important, it's about continuous evolution. Our lives change, our needs change, our goals change. A morning stack that worked perfectly 6 months ago might need tweaking today.
So, it's not about finding a rigid, forever formula, but a flexible framework. I like that. It makes it less intimidating. If something isn't working, it doesn't mean failure, it just means it's time to adjust.
Precisely. Think of your morning stack like a garden. You don't just plant seeds and walk away. You water it, you weed it, you prune it, and sometimes you have to replant certain things or introduce new species. Your stack needs that same attentive care. Periodically, maybe once a quarter, take a moment to review. Is this still serving me? Are these habits still aligning with my biggest goals? What could be added or removed?
That's a great analogy, Alex. It reframes maintenance not as a chore, but as part of the ongoing growth process. And that leads me to another crucial element you've touched on, self-compassion. What happens when we miss a day, or a week, or when life throws a curveball and our entire stack gets derailed?
Self-compassion. This is often the secret ingredient that separates long-term success from frustration. We've all been there. You miss your morning workout, then you feel guilty, and that guilt makes it harder to get back on track the next day. But here's the truth. Perfection is unattainable. Life is messy. On days when your stack falters, instead of beating yourself up, offer yourself kindness. Acknowledge that you're human, that you're doing your best, and then simply restart.
It's about picking yourself up without judgment. One missed session doesn't erase all the progress you've made. It's the recommitment that truly counts. Forgiving ourselves allows us to get back on the horse quicker.
Absolutely. And this ties directly into the idea of progressive expansion. Remember when we discussed in episode 7 how expanding your stack gradually is key? The same principle applies to sustainability. If your current stack feels overwhelming, or if you're struggling to maintain it, don't try to add 3 new habits at once. Focus on one small, manageable change. Sustainability is built brick by brick, not in one massive construction project.
So, if the goal is to add a new learning habit and you're finding it tough, maybe start with just 5 minutes of reading instead of 20. Or, if your mindfulness practice is feeling rushed, perhaps shorten it slightly and focus on consistency. It's about making it achievable today.
Exactly. And this brings us to the profound ripple effect. When you consistently show up for yourself in the morning, even when it's hard, it doesn't just impact your mornings. It impacts your afternoons, your evenings, your relationships, your work, your overall well-being. That consistent effort creates positive momentum that carries throughout your entire day and, ultimately, your life. You become more resilient, more focused, and more capable of handling whatever comes your way.
It's like a snowball rolling downhill. The initial push is the hardest, but once it gets going, it gathers momentum, picking up more snow and growing larger. Our morning stack is that initial push, that catalyst for positive change across all areas of our lives.
Precisely. And as we look back at everything we've covered, remember the core concepts. First, identify your anchor habits. These are the non-negotiables that form the bedrock of your stack. They were your starting point. Second, habit stacking is your tool for seamlessly integrating new behaviors. Link them to something you already do. Third, personalize your architecture. There is no one-size-fits-all. Your stack must be unique to you, your lifestyle, and your goals. Fourth, embrace evolution and self-compassion. Your stack will change, and you will falter. That's okay. Adjust and keep going. And finally, trust the ripple effect. The small, consistent actions you take each morning will transform your days and your life.
Those are such powerful takeaways, Alex. Thinking back to episode 1, the idea of a morning momentum seemed like a nice to have. Now, after going through this series, it feels like an essential foundation for living a fulfilling and impactful life. It's about claiming those first hours of the day to intentionally set yourself up for success, whatever that looks like for you.
And that, Lisa, is how you become unstoppable. It's not about being perfect, it's about being persistent. It's about building a system that supports you, adapts with you, and consistently propels you towards your best self. This journey of building your morning stack is a continuous one, and we're so thrilled to have been your guides for this initial phase.
This has been an incredible 12 episodes. We've learned so much, and we hope you have too. Remember to be kind to yourselves, keep evolving, and keep building that unstoppable momentum every single morning.
Thank you for joining us on this journey throughout the series. We truly hope you found the tools and inspiration to create a morning stack that empowers you for a lifetime. Thanks for listening to the series.